So where are we in terms of the current move with altcoins? Are we expecting a massive pullback now? Is there still going to be some sort of altcoin crash where prices reduce 80, 90% or more? Or are we still going to re-explore the lows? I'm going to discuss that in this video and give you an idea of where I think we are in the market cycle at the moment and evidence we've seen of that already. So first of all, I'm going to talk about Solana as a really good example because it's one of the larger kind of altcoins. It had a really good season last time and it looks like it's pumping again and it's made some good impulsive progress. So where are we? That's what we really want to know. We want to compare. Now, you have to remember Solana will be different or will act differently to those altcoins that have been around a lot longer that didn't really experience a great 2021. For example, the likes of XRP, Cardano didn't really do very well in the last kind of 12 to 18 months. And also you have to remember that some other altcoins are brand new. They were launched, for example, this year, or they're currently riding another wave of a trend, for example, AI trends like Fetch, the Graph, etc. So when we look back with Solana, let's go back to 2020 and see what was going on then. An interesting thing to note here when we pumped after COVID is we had a massive pullback. We had an impulsive move up and then we got to the highs in September 2020. So I would say the whole time things were impulsive, which means we weren't really moving sideways. We actually broke out, would be from around July all the way to beginning of September, end of August. So not long at all. So we're talking barely a couple of months. I would say even 6 weeks, 6 solid weeks where we really moved and pumped. And that was the initial move up. So note that when altcoins make their big moves, it goes for any cryptocurrency, but in particular altcoins, it usually tends to happen in a very short period of time. And they spend a lot of time either going sideways or, as you've all noticed, actually trending downwards, just grinding ever lower over a period of time. After this 6-week rise, we got a pullback and it was significant. So in terms of percentages, from the top, we're talking approximately 80%. That's important to note as well, because after this, Solana went on one of its biggest runs and it was one of the best performance, literally going from $1 all the way up to, let's see what the max was. So I'm really zooming out here and the exact top was a high of 267. So 267x basically from that point. And what time range was this? So again, if we go from September and we go to, let's say, where price was breaking out of full support, so probably above this resistance, so let's say around here, so January. So we're talking there a period of 126 days. So basically 4 months, all of September, October, November, and December. Price grinded lower and sideways, but the initial drops were quite severe. So if you look at the first drop that happened in literally, this is a 2-day chart, by the way, just so it's easier for me to zoom, but let me reduce it to a 1-day chart so you can get a better idea. So in the space of 1, 2, 3, 4, around 5 days, let's see what happened with price. So price had corrected 60%. 60% is a lot. Let's say, for example, you're looking to get into altcoins right now and you invest and you look to hodl and then suddenly you're 60% down after a period of just a few days. That is very significant, which is why personally, and I would advise this of anybody who's a little bit more experienced when it comes to trading, when you're getting involved with altcoins, a lot of people say to just hold and forget about it. Now, yeah, over a long period of time, if you think things are going to move the way you hoping they would move that they've done before, remember, history doesn't always repeat, then yeah, that does make sense. But a better way to do it is to trade in and out of the market and to kind of sit out and sit on USDT or cash during these periods and look to get in. Even if you miss your entry, you can clearly see this breakout and you had literally several weeks to get in here as things were rising again, and then you could have caught most of the move upwards anyway. But that's a topic of a separate video in terms of how you should actually trade altcoins over short, medium, and long term in terms of swing trades. So looking back at this, significant drop. So one scenario is we're here very early in this cycle and we've just now completing this impulsive move up. Now, in this impulsive move up with Solana, we noticed there was that massive 60% drop. But along the way, what were the drops like? Well, we had smaller pullbacks, maximum 40% there we saw. And then here, from top to bottom, about 35. So 35, 40%, we had a couple of those along the way. And then we reached that peak price. And then we had that 60% drawdown. And then we did nothing for a period of months. And that's when we got the next bullish leg upwards. Notice, obviously, all of this move is impulsive. going upwards, not corrective. I'll show you why that's important in just a minute. Let's look at what Solana's doing right now. A few things to note first. First of all, the low was all the way back at the end of December. So that's the first thing to note there. So we've actually been moving up for a while now, even though we had this sideways kind of price movement. So we had an impulsive move there, then we had another slightly shorter one there, and then a significant pullback, and then we had a very, very strong price rise here, which is pretty much vertical with hardly any pullbacks. But let's have a look at the pullback still. The most recent was about 20%, so it's a smaller pullback. The longer term one here from July all the way up to around midway through September, 46%. So that was a good healthy pullback there, which by the way, you actually want to see. And when you're trading any market, it's actually the pullbacks that helps us gives us an idea of where we kind of are in this move. And it helps us obviously with entry points as well. So we had those two significant pullbacks, and then the one from January all the way down to the lows in June. We're talking there of 52%. So we had a good few pullbacks. Now, if you're actually looking at this in terms of Elliott wave, you could actually start labeling this as 1, 2, and then a smaller 1, 2 here, and then we're midway through a kind of third wave here. What that would mean, if this is truly what's going on right now, is we might be in that early cycle, that first big move up and the 60% down I've just shown you. But in theory, if we're using Solana as a nice roadmap, and it's a really good one to analyze because it has very, very clean moves, and the market structure is really good. So there's a lot of, is that large market cap, a lot of people are involved in trading this, there's mass trading psychology. So you can really look back at the charts and get a better idea. So basically what you would expect if things are moving the way we think they're going right now is at some point we'll get a local top in here, a smaller 4 and 5, and then we'll get a larger degree 4. So we might move sideways for a period of time. Now, remember, these moves look like they're happening very, very quickly. But even then, these sideways moves were, I would say, about 2-3 months, something like that. And then we get a wave 5, a big shoot up. But then the problem is after that has happened, then we might get a significant 60% correction down. But that will obviously be a correction from a higher level. But that's what we might expect next. So what that means is we may still get some consolidation. And if we get consolidation, that's a trading opportunity. But then we might only get a few more weeks maximum, maybe only towards kind of New Year or just before Christmas. And then things go sideways and down for a period of months. This is why trading in and out would be useful here, because you could take profits and sit on the sidelines and just see what happens. So that's one way you could potentially trade this. Because as we've seen previously, even with Solana and other altcoins, they don't just move straight in a straight line all of the time. It's short periods of time. Now, the actual strongest period for Solana here, where they had that, we had that breakout in July 2021, the move to 217, which I think is very significant as compared to the move afterwards in terms of ROI. That was really the big move there from July when it was literally nothing, going all of the way to 200. Notice again the time range. So this is a period here of 51 days. So barely just over a month and a half. So you're talking a period of 6 or 7 weeks. That's what will happen at some point. Very likely early next year. You're going to get 6 weeks of a massive push, and that could be it when it comes to altcoins, potentially. So that's what we're looking at. Another smaller thing I'll also add is every time we had that significant breakout in Solana, we always had a breakout in trading volume. That's one of the key signs to look out for when it comes to altcoins. Very, very easy to spot. So even here in the breakout, notice that volume went sideways and lower for a while. Price was still creeping up, but then we had that breakout in August, and that's when things really started to pump with Solana. This is the total crypto market cap, excluding Bitcoin and ETH. So if you have a look at this, again, as expected, massive rises from 30 odd billion all the way up to over 1 trillion in November 2021. And at the moment, we're at a level of 420 billion. But looking more at the structure, we saw a significant low around December 22. Now that's actually where we saw a low for a lot of the altcoins. So that's good. That makes a lot of sense. And you can even see here in previous moves upwards. So let's go back to the COVID lows. We saw from December 2018 to March 2020, we saw almost like a double bottom. So price was consolidating here for a good period of time. So it'd been sideways for, let's call it 2 years in this particular period. And then we had a breakout in June 2020. And once we broke out above support, notice that we retested the support. So let me draw the horizontal line in there. So we broke out of this resistance level, we retested the level, and then we shot off and never looked back. That's what happened around July 2020. And that's kind of where I think we are right now, in that very early phase. Again, let's have a look at timeframes. Now here, in terms of the total market cap, once we had actually broken out, so let's take the absolute low in March, which we might describe as December 2020, and do a date range check again to the point where we broke out. So to the point where we actually broke out is a period of only a few months. And then from that July, August time, all the way up until kind of mid to end of November, so that's about 3.5 months, we pretty much went sideways. Now notice it, after we broke out, it took us kind of like a month to retest here on the larger total market cap. And then things really got going a good while after. So we're talking another kind of 2 months after that. So kind of 3 months of sideways on the total market cap anyway. Where are we right now? Very strong impulsive move upwards from first week of October. And now we're chopping sideways at this important resistance level. So possibly what we could see, similar to what happened last time, you can see here from the previous lows, very, very important resistance level. So either we'll chop sideways, so price will do nothing for a while, and then we'll just move up from there, or we'll move up, down, retest this area, and then if things are moving forward from there, you could pretty much expect for altcoins, we are in the early stages for sure of another bull market. Now, how strong that will be, in my opinion, that's just my opinion, of course, and you need to do your research, listen to other people as well on YouTube and elsewhere. But from me analyzing the crypto market for quite a long time, this is what I think is going on. So I think with altcoins, there will be a strong move and it will be a bull market, but it will be milder than the last one. And I think for Bitcoin and Ethereum, it's a little bit different. Because when I look at Ethereum and Bitcoin in detail, and I'll probably discuss this on another video in more detail, but basically these moves upwards, and we're now nestling, we've been accumulating at this level. So these are all really, really good signs. The problem is this move looks corrective. And what that means is we will have a corrective move up. So what I think will happen, again, this is my opinion, but what I think will happen is over the next kind of year or so, Ethereum will move up and start attacking those highs, but this will be all part of a larger correction actually. And what that means is basically this whole period now of years basically will be a larger corrective period, because that was a significant high we saw in November, a larger cycle high. So we'll grind upwards, I think, and then we'll have a correction down, and then it will actually be the next leg up. That's what will be going on with Bitcoin and Ethereum. We will attack the previous highs, maybe even get a good bit above those, and then have a significant correction down. I don't think we'll re-explode the lows in Bitcoin or Ethereum personally, but we will get a significant correction down. The good news is though, during this period here of even correctively moving upwards, the altcoins are going to have a very, very good time whilst that's going on, because that pushes the entire market up. Liquidity flows through all of the coins and eventually into the altcoins. And the great thing about the altcoins, as I've said in previous videos, is you always get opportunities. The reason for that, just looking back at Solana, I showed you on Solana, even in previous moves, like we do get 30, 40%, 60% corrections. So you can still enter into the trade after these significant corrections. And the other thing is all the altcoins move at different times. So as you will have seen in my recent videos, by the way, if you've not been watching them, you should check them out, because I talk about things like rotating through altcoins. So this is a way of taking your cash further by going into one altcoin first, capturing most of the move, and then moving into another one that hasn't yet moved. And if you look at previous cycles, you will see that some are lagging, some move very late. XRP is a fantastic example of a latecomer to the party. So that's something that you can roll into later after you've made gains in some of these other altcoins. Finally, on crypto bubbles, if you look at over a month period, you will see here really what the gains are in the various coins. And a lot of the well-known ones, obviously Solana's outperformed, but a lot of the well-known ones like the Manas and stuff like that, they've all kind of moved up anywhere from 50% to 100%. So nothing special yet, but initially quite good moves. But here is where you want to concentrate on in terms of finding new coins, as I've discussed before, because in this particular market, in this particular new move over the next kind of year or so, you will be finding new coins that outperform that most people would never have heard of before. And some of these I'm very much hoping to be discussing on this channel as we go forward. If you have any questions, let me know in the comment section below. See you all again soon.